again, welcome everybody to class number 2. I hope everybody had a wonderful first 2 weeks before the last class. Also, we got a ton of homework. We'll cover that really briefly here as well. But what I want to do is go ahead and end the poll. That way we have it off of your screen if you chose not to participate. We got a lot of participation in this one. We asked, hey, the best way to change someone's mindset is, and the top one took way over 50%, which was tell a story. Awesome, congratulations. Now, all of these were actually really good answers. Make a story, listen to the fixed mindset because you're actually listening, which is perfect. Of course, point out there's a good and bad and everything. Kind of show two sides of every story. But tell a story. Why? Because people remember stories. So a lot of times you'll kind of notice when we teach these classes, we will teach stories. Number one is because you'll remember more and you'll also retain more. I mean, you'll retain more in the long run. Remember, retain, same thing. But yes, so thank you so much for voting on the poll. I'll just go and put the Q&A tab up so you can ask questions at any time. We'll do a lot of participation. Honestly, just this class number 2 could be an entire 3-week course. So we're going to give you a lot of information. That's why we have the replays, because a lot of times it's a lot to take in, and the replays you can watch in 1.5 speed, whatever works best for you. But we want to give you a lot that you can use right away. But more importantly, last week we covered a ton as well. So I kind of want to briefly go through some of the answers. I don't want to be too specific because everything you send is anonymous. Also, the big part about your homework is mostly for you. I mean, we'll look at it, we'll give you some feedback, and I know we had a couple more that just came in the last couple minutes that I'll definitely, one of us will get to as well. So please be patient until tomorrow. So we'll get to everybody's homework. But we want to we want to give you some feedback. We had some great ones for the intentions. Some people said they've had, a previous, unsuccessful businesses before. They have a lot of stuff going on in their mind, or that's holding them back. Great. At least you know about it, so you know what to listen to. So you know what to listen to. We'll give you a lot of stuff here on sponsoring today. Let's see, I had a couple of them on the morning habits. A lot of people, you guys must really already be in shape, because some people said they're going to exercise an hour every morning. So you must be exercising already. Even if you just do 5 minutes, anything to get your blood pumping. A lot of people are doing some creative things because it's cold. It's cold here in Houston. It's cold and rainy, so it's that humidity cold here. So yeah, I'm not going outside today. And then we had a lot of 6 months goals, which was great. A lot of people said this is their grandioso goal. This is their 10-year goal, but then you shrunk it down to 6 months goal. Sometimes it was vehicles, a lot of things you can do, Airbnb rentals, car rentals, really cool stuff. So yes, please keep those coming in. We really look forward to interacting with you with the homework. The most important part is at least do it for yourself. That way you get the most out of this class. So with that, we'll go ahead and start the part of the official class. So Tom, I will throw it over to you.
Okay, let's start talking about the elephant in the room, and that is, how in the world are we going to change tough mindsets? It could be our mindset, but more likely we're probably thinking about somebody on our team or some prospects. So let's first cover some strategies on how to change mindsets. Now, how do they get this mindset? Well, they weren't born with it. So some experiences happened. And once an experience happens, it's the first thing in the mind. Unfortunately, our minds are lazy, so whatever's first in our mind, we tend to want to keep. So if some conflicting information or a new way of looking at things comes up, we're going to ignore it. We're going to say it's just too much bother to think about it and change our mind. So being first, there's an advantage to that. So what else is tough with talking to people about mindsets is there's a thing called bias, which means we kind of give more information bigger credibility and some information less credibility. And it's called confirmation bias. In other words, we tend to read articles and study things that agree with our current mindset. And if it doesn't, we tend not to look at it. So we have some problems that we have to overcome. So let's cover a couple quick strategies here that we can use right away because we want tools to make a difference. So here's tool number one. Tool number one is rapport comes first. So if you're going to change anybody's mindset, they have to be able to listen. So if they're not going to listen to what we say, we're toast. So you say, well, how do I get rapport? Well, if you haven't read the rapport book or just brand new, rapport means they trust us and believe us. And what's the easiest way to do that? Well, tell them something about their objection or mindset is correct. And they say, wow, you agreed with me. You agreed that I should have a viewpoint, and you agreed with what I said. You must be a genius just like me. So before we try anything, we've got to make sure we establish that rapport. We can't start off by saying your mindset's wrong, you're wrong, you're not looking at it the right way, you have the wrong viewpoint, you don't have the facts. That just sets up a wall where we have no chance whatsoever. So tell them something they already believe, and if you can, it could be about their current mindset, so it's more topical for them. And that way we don't create that wall of resistance, that skepticism. They won't just turn us off with their confirmation bias. At least we have a chance to get our message across. So, tool number two, and that is to make sure we're not the stubborn person in this conversation. And we're always thinking about changing the other person's mindset. Sometimes we have to change ours because, well, maybe we looked at things not quite right, or maybe we could adjust so it's more palatable for them. So are we the one that say, I'm not going to have a discussion, I'm not going to look at your side, I simply want to prove that I'm right? If that's going on, of course, rapport has been destroyed, and we're the one with the problem. But let's get back to changing them. So once we made sure that we're not stuck and we're not closed-minded, that we're not fixed mindset, what we want to do is start changing them from their fixed mindset to a growth mindset, which means open-minded. So tool number three is questions. Now, when we ask a question, that means we stop talking and they talk. When they talk, all of a sudden things get a whole lot better. They might be talking and saying, no, I'm right, but that's okay. They feel better and some of their pent-up defense is released. So if we ask a question, they have to stop and think. And when they think, they have another chance to take a look at their position. They might see that it's really weird. And when they start explaining and answering these questions, they say, wait a minute, maybe I can adjust it a little bit. So this is a discovery phase. If they feel we understand them, then the rapport is much deeper. And if they feel we understand them, then we can have an open discussion of that. Well, as we see, we're going to use some other tools here that the viewpoint can be changed. So what type of questions should we ask? Here's just a few. Now, when did this all happen? Now, if you're looking through these questions right now, you notice there is no question that starts with why. And why don't we start a question with why? And here's why. When we were kids, we did something wrong. Our parents said, why did you do that? And so we have a natural tendency, if somebody says why, to start justifying and putting up our defenses and brings back bad memories from childhood. If we can avoid a why question, that's going to be a lot better. So there's who, what, when, where, and forget about why. So we say, when did this all happen? How did you get this mindset? Where did it start from? And when did you first notice that this was the situation or how to look at it? And you ask them what event stands out in their mind, and they start realizing, you know what? I had a different mindset before this experience. Now I have a new mindset, so it's obvious to me that mindsets can change. Now, when we find an area that they might be a little unsure of, we can start saying things like, what happened next? And we can draw that out, and all of a sudden, their belief starts crumbling about this certain mindset. And we can ask them, well, what were things like before this event happened? Because events create an experience, which is a mindset. Because that's how we get these things from what happened to us in our past. And how does this mindset affect you, or how did it affect others? So just open the questions. They will talk a lot, and they will get rid of most of their tenseness and their need to defend their position, and it'll be more open conversation. So remember, avoid the why. Tool number 4 for changing mindsets is, this is easy. All we have to do is say, that is interesting. So when they come up with the earth is flat, the moon landing was fake, everything from Oklahoma is illegal, Elvis Presley is alive and hates network marketing, and no matter how weird or how strange to us their mindset is, we don't have to agree with them, but we can at least say we're listening and taking it in with an open mind. And the phrase is, that is interesting. It doesn't make them feel bad. It actually makes them feel good, but we don't have to buy into their mindset. So all we have to do is say, that is interesting. Let them talk, let them talk, let them talk. Don't directly attack their mindset. And again, it starts dissolving and all that pent-up defense mechanism. So can you say that is interesting? When we hear things, we might want to correct them right away, but let's not. So let's do an example. One of the prospects says, health comes from an antibiotic. I would never take vitamins. I'd never take a pill. I'd never take a capsule. And we're thinking, oh, how'd you take your antibiotics then? Those are capsules. No, we don't say that. We just say, that's interesting. And let them continue talking until they're out of gas. And once they're out of gas, now they're more likely to be open-minded. So try this with your kids. If you can, spouse at work, friends, just start accepting that you can listen to what they say. And even though we know it's wrong, just bite our tongues and just say, that is interesting. And some things we don't have to change, but if we're trying to change their mindset, we need to go further with some more tools. So let's move on quickly to tool number 5. Now, this is one of my favorite ones. I like to say everything has pros and cons. Now, if they buy into that, that means their mindset has pros and cons. So I try to give them an example first. I say, even the most famous mindset, famous sayings of all time have good and bad. Early in my career, I was told, never quit. And, it made sense to me at the time. Don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. But then I realized I got to quit watching television at night and get some sleep, and I need to stop eating or I'll explode. And I need to stop doing the wrong things and start learning new things because people aren't joining. So even the best advice has pros and cons. Now, that little story about me gets them to be thinking, you know what, no matter what I say, it could have, obviously a lot of pros, but it could have a few cons. And he said, well, what's another example? I said, let's do another nutrition one. I said, I used to say I eat just fine. I'm alive now, right? And that was true. But then somebody pointed out to me that we are what we eat, and we're not made out of the TV shows we watch or the air we breathe. And I decided, I don't want to be made out of Coca-Cola and McDonald's hamburgers, so maybe I should try to eat a bit healthier now. Pros and cons. So if you can get them to buy into there's nothing perfect, and do an example from your life or from their life if you see it, all of a sudden they are more open-minded to hear alternative mindsets, or maybe we can support ours a bit more. Tool number 6. We want to criticize our mindset first. We don't want to criticize their mindset first. So if we attack them, it's like a suicide mission. We're going to fail. Now, humans hate evaluating a whole lot of options. We like things just the way they are. Our mindset is whatever we believe right now, we want to keep, and we don't want to think about anything else. It's just too much work. So changing my mindset, I'll give them an example. So I'll tell them a story like this. Over time, I've changed my beliefs mindset about broccoli. As a kid, broccoli was a punishment, stuff that we threw off the table. And then I was introduced to melted cheese. Now, melted cheese makes broccoli delicious, and now it's my favorite food. And I have it, well, it was my number 2 food after ultra caffeine laced tiramisu. And I'm still looking for new foods. And what are they hearing? I changed my mindset about broccoli. And as they listen to the story, they don't realize it, but inside they're building a belief that I can change. So opening their mind is everything. And most people refuse to change. They'll take that first belief that comes along and hang on to it. And it's ugly. So let's do tool number 7 that we can use. And we put it up in the survey. It's examples, analogies, metaphors. And what this means is the human mind cannot understand concepts unless it can compare it to something it already knows. So one of the best shortcuts is to compare our new mindset to kind of a mindset they have already, something similar. So I always use the example, if I showed you a picture of a hand, you don't know how big that hand is unless I have the hand next to a coffee cup or something that you know what size it is. So they have to be related. So how would we do this in verbiage? Would say something like, our business is just like a McDonald's franchise, except we're $2 million cheaper. And in that moment, they got the idea, hey, you guys are like a franchise, yeah. But you don't have to pay that big McDonald's fee. And they got it. Now, in that simple sentence, so much information was passed, and there was no resistance to it. I'll give you a couple more examples of that sentence structure, which is like, this is like feeling we're 16 years old all over again, but with better judgment. Or this video is like an action movie on steroids. So now people know what to expect. Or this is like a bank account, but better. Or our compensation plan is sort of like a family tree. They get it right away with examples and analogies. Now, if you try to do it with facts, it won't work. But we have to do examples. So let's do the next tool, stories. And, of course, that was on the survey. And stories is a great way of an analogy and sometimes a metaphor. So here's one of my favorite stories. And it's pretty direct. So I said, when I started this business, I had a fixed mindset. I believed everything in business school, and guess what? Business school didn't work. It was like putting a square peg into a round hole. And I learned accounting and management, but when you add people to the equation, then things get all kind of weird. And I had to learn how to change my mindset about people and business if I was going to make it successful. And they started thinking, yeah, business isn't like it is taught in school. It's quite different, especially now. Or how about a shorter story? I might say I totally believed in wrinkles and that they come with age, but then I met Mary. She's 58 years old and wrinkle-free. I had to change my beliefs about mindset and aging because I was just staring in the face of proof. Over like that, and what's their mindset? Their mindset might have changed from nothing can do these wrinkles, I don't want to spend for expensive skincare, but that little story bypasses it all. All right, so let's say somebody says, no, I'm not sure about network marketing, it doesn't sound like a real job, etc. So we could tell a story again, right? So let's try this one. My parents told me to get a student loan, go to university, get a low-level job at a big company, work my way up, work overtime, and then 45 years later, retire. And but I was only in my career for like 7 years, and the company went out of business. And then I had to change my whole thought about the world and how business works. And that's why I started my own network marketing business on the side. Now, if they had a mindset of being fixed with a company like it was in the 1980s, they might have changed just from this little story. Or how about this? I knew I could never lose weight. No willpower. Are we relating? Have some rapport? And then somebody asked me, what if you always felt satisfied and were never hungry? Would that work for you? And I said, well, yeah, that'd work for me, And they said, well, that's why I'm a thin person today. I changed to a new strategy, and my mindset changed just like this. So stories, I could do tons of stories, don't have time. But think about a story where you changed your mindset that you can use when you talk to people, and it gives them permission to say, you know what, I can change my mindset also. So let's do tool number 8 very quick before I turn it back to Keith. And tool number 8 is time. It takes time for people to change mindsets. We may not do it instantly. It may take a day or 2 or 3 days for the subconscious mind to kind of sort things out. And even though their mindset may be against what we proposed, here's what happens. People that are rigid with fixed mindsets are against so many things that they have to release some of them. They say, I just can't keep up the fight on all of them. So where they might have disagreed, just over time, over a day or a week, it may completely go away because they just don't want to put the effort in to fight it. Because people that fight their mindset with their fixed mindset, they get tired in a hurry. So tool number 8 is time, giving them time. Here's an example. When I was 6 years old, I went to school, and I had a pretty fixed mindset about Santa, and one of my classmates and then another classmate said, Santa is not real. Well, I had a mindset that Santa was real, and now everybody's telling me it's not. I'm going to have to change my mindset, and that was pretty tough for me, and it took a day or two for me to think it through and say, all right, I'll just kind of gradually accept that and hope nobody noticed I was wrong. If people say, I can't change my mindset, all you have to do is give examples of it. Did you change your mindset about the opposite sex when you were in high school? Did you change your mindset about Santa? Did you change your mindset? All of a sudden they say, you know what, I do change my mindset. I said, well, let's make a conscious choice of what we should change. So now we have 8 beginning tools to start. So when you're talking to one of your team members that are maybe not have the right mindset yet, we can say, okay, criticize the mind first, build rapport, ask some questions, and then when I start presenting a new way of looking at it, I at least have an open mind. So with that, let me turn it over here to Keith, and we'll cover a few more tools next week also. So Keith, let me turn it back to you.
All right, terrific. Well, once again, everybody, thanks for pulling up the Q&A tab. We already had some unsolicited feedback, which I love. Thank you so much for being proactive. A lot of good ones. Hey, starting a business with us is a fraction of the cost of a 7-Eleven without the everyday headaches. You could go big on that. You could say just like an Apple store, just like opening up Google. I mean, possibilities are endless on that. But let's get into the next section. I talked to this a little bit on a Zoom before this masterclass. I know a lot of people are on our Zoom list, and it's kind of how we give you some previews of things to come. But I always say, ask the right questions. So our mind, our brain is always trying to do something. It's already trying to solve something. Its goal is to survive. When we're born, the brain says, oh my goodness, I'm hungry. Okay, what should I do? I should cry. And, do different facial expressions and things like that. So our brain is always trying to fix something. So if we ask it, and he's already talked about, why questions are bad, but think about this. A lot of times we get stuck in a rut, and it's going to happen. We say, oh, why can't I sponsor anyone this week? Or why isn't my group growing? Guess what? Your brain is going to answer those questions, which can be toxic. That's because you didn't learn more skills, or you didn't do your personal development, or haven't gotten out into the real world, and then it's just kind of a snowball effect. But if we ask the how questions, then what it's going to do, it's going to answer those questions. How can I sponsor someone this week? How can I sponsor someone this month? Oh my goodness. Well, I have a ton of contacts on my phone that I forgot to follow up with, or that I need to talk about, or they don't even know anything. So I'm going to give you some sample questions. Now your questions will be different. So I want to give people sample questions. So and you may want these questions, that's great. But if you ask these questions on a regular basis, So if you put this on your phone at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or more like me, 8 a.m. So, or you put it up on the calendar, however you have your morning questions, these are some of the ones. So your brain says, let's do this today. So here's some questions. How can I increase my retailing today? If you ask yourself that question, your brain says, oh, you know what? What can I do? Well, I'm actually going to be leaving the house. I go to the same coffee shop or the same grocery store. I need to, drop the lines to the people. And in the area, I'm just curious. Can you do me a favor? Do you know anybody? I'm looking for people with this problem, that hate their job, that want to lose weight, etc. You have those questions you can ask. How can I follow up with 5 prospects today? You ask yourself that question every single day. In 30 days, you're probably going to follow up with at least 100 people. You may forget, like, oh, wait. And then you may start writing things down, may have a checklist, may do what I call a data dump, like write down everybody, copy and paste and print it out. And you'll realize how many prospects you need to follow up with, or at least beginning to talk to. I'll go through these really quick because we got a lot to cover. How can I build this business this morning? All these, you can kind of realize that these are more of a daily question. They're very specific. So I say, how can I build my business? It's not very exciting. How can I build my business today? How could I follow with 5 prospects today? It makes it more vivid. So your brain has to know very specifics. I talked about Google at the beginning of class number 1, which was 2 weeks ago. If you're very specific with Google, then it'll tell you what you need. If you're not very specific, you don't know what you're going to find, especially on the internet. So here, type in the questions into the Q&A of what sample questions you can ask. Now, I throw this right to you, and I realize it's very quick. So this will be part of your homework. So don't worry too much if you can't think of anything you want to ask yourself. But think of it doesn't have to be like, well, how can I follow up with 100 prospects? Well, how can I follow up with 2 prospects today? Oh, you know what? I have that text script. I know now students in business. Can you do me a favor? You have that script. There's so many things you have in your arsenal. If we just do it on a regular basis, it's going to make huge, huge dividends. All right. So cool stuff. Oh yeah. How can I follow up with people on my commute? Okay. So you're probably not driving, so you're probably taking some sort of other transportation if you're following with people, or you have a voice dial. I mean, you're doing the phone. So either way. All right. So let's get into the next section, which is gratitude. A lot of times I catch myself, and I'm completely guilty of this. So don't think I'm some wonderful person. I sometimes get in a habit of saying I have to. Oh, I have to pick up my daughter from school. Oh, I have to go grocery shopping. Oh, I have to get the dry cleaning thing. Oh, I have to go out in the rain to check the mail. All those haves. But what if we say we get that we're actually grateful for our lives? Like if you say, oh, I have to get up early tomorrow morning. Well, how about if we just flip it? I get to get up tomorrow morning. I will be alive. The opposite is not very fun, to my knowledge. So if you say you get to, so a lot of things in our business we look at. So I know, I'm just going to go, very broad here. Well, I have to get 2 more customers to be, commission qualified or get to the next PIN level. Or I need to sponsor 2 more people to get to the next PIN level. I need to replace the 2 people that quit. I have to do this. I have to do that. It turns into a negative connotation. So what if we did it on a positive connotation that's really going to flip our brain to be able to talk to people and sponsor them? I get to. So think about the benefit of your product, service, opportunity. I get to find 2 more people that will be able to finally get to lose weight. I get to find 2 more people that can finally get rid of some of their high credit card bills, finally get to high utility bills. I get to find 2 more people that get to look, their best. They get to look 10 years younger. So if you flip the get, then you're more grateful. So a lot of times, even this morning, I will be honest with you, it's raining, it's cold. I didn't want to get out of bed, so I have to get out of bed. I have to shower, I have to shave. And I said, you know what? I get to get out of bed. I get to wake up alive, nice, versus the opposite. So what are some of the things that we get to do? So if we say, oh, you know what? Instead of, I have to sponsor 5 more people to get to the next PIN level, how am I going to find these people? I get to find 5 more people, possibly change their life. So some people may want an extra $50 a month. So I don't know. I may find a really good business builder that's going to create it's going to make a big difference in their family. So if you just say, I get to, it makes a huge difference. So what else are we saying that we may need to reframe? So think about your biggest stumbling block in sponsoring. Like, oh, I have to talk to people, or I have to, whatever it is. I have to talk to people. I have to put myself out of my comfort zone. What do we have to do, and how can we flip it? Now, again, throwing a lot of stuff out at you because, but I want this at least for you to think about this. If you don't have the answer today, you at least have the answer later. I get to fire my boss. See that you've gone above and beyond. I get to see if my friends want to join me in my journey. See, these are good stuff. So a lot of times, if you just kind of reframe the stuff that you have to do to get, it makes a huge difference. And honestly, I learned this about gratitude. Start using this in your regular lives. Stuff like, I have to pick up my daughter from school. I get to pick up my daughter from school. Yeah, it's I get to spend some time with her. I get to see her before she eventually gets too old and doesn't think I'm cool anymore. Stuff like that. So a lot of times you just flip that in your everyday life. More importantly, in your sponsoring, because that's what we're here to do. All right, let's see here. I get to find a couple more people to finally fix their credit. See, this is good stuff. So keep those thinking. Want to be a little bit more specific to your product, service, or opportunity. It's really all dependent upon you. So I try to give as many examples as possible. All right, so this is a really good one. I'll see, this is not my computer, but I'll make sure this happens. And this is, let's see if I can get this up, new share. It's a YouTube video. You can always look this up. There's several videos about this one, but I was actually watching the Olympics live for this one because I was going to go to London after the Olympics. That's just how it worked out. But either way, this is a road race. Now, if you've ever done cycling, I'm going to do this really quick, but you got to train. You need a mindset, all the sacrifices you have to do to be able to just compete in the Olympics. But imagine these two gentlemen in this road race were battling for the top spot. Now you have to pay attention. It's like literally a 15-second clip that I'm going to play, and pay attention to the gentleman in white who is leading the race. Oh, he's leading the race. Oh, now he's kind of tied. Oh, no, now he's leading the race again, and he makes this big mistake by looking backwards. What's he doing? Next thing you know, he loses the race. He spent. We'll play that really quick. Do that one more time. Spent years and years and years and looks backwards and then loses the race by a second because he was looking backwards. So a lot of times we are hard on ourselves. Let me pull up the slides back again. We are hard on ourselves. Well, I sponsored somebody and then they quit. I don't want to sponsor somebody again and feel like a failure. Don't worry about what's behind you. Worry about the things you're learning in this class or other classes or other books, or I don't care what you listen to, as long as you listen to something positive, it's going to make a huge difference. If you look behind you, you could lose years and years just by saying, this one person quit, they were negative, and we can't look behind. We have to look forward. I would tell this overweight baggage story. It's coming back from Denver. And in Southwest Airlines, you can bring 2 bags, which are 50 pounds. I had to bring back some beverages for a lot of my friends at home. And one bag was a little bit, I couldn't tell which one was heavier. And so I tried to put them both on the baggage carousel at the same time. The gentleman was not very thrilled that I did that. And he said, no, 1 bag at a time, let alone I had overweight bags. So I had to pay extra to get those bags in. Instead, I put my shoes and stinky clothes in my backpack. But all those overweight, all the extra luggage that I had, it cost us money. So don't worry. It's just like if you can't remember the Olympics, you type in 2012 Olympics road race. You can look at that video. You can think of overweight bags. Anything that is in the past costs us money. If we're bringing extra baggage with us of previous relationships, previous businesses, previous failures, it's not going to do us justice. More importantly, that's not what our prospects want. Our prospects want a sponsor who's optimistic. So what past experiences can we let go? As far as somebody that quit, as far as sponsoring is concerned, and you don't have to type it in the Q&A. We have some really good ones that have come in. I know some people, they write them down and they throw them away. They write them down and they throw them in the fire. I was not allowed to do that because we have a gas fireplace that's ventless. I found that out the hard way. So always ask your spouse if you're going to do something dumb like me. So some people write them down, they throw them away. They burn them in fire, throw it in the trash. I don't know, throw it in recycle, put it in recycling if it's on paper, have it be someone else's problem. But make sure that we kind of get rid of, don't worry about where we are today is what matters. All right, cool. So let's give you a couple more examples because I got a lot more to share. The big one is, of course, prospects can sense our intention. So we always have to look at, and you probably read it in a lot of our books, is options. We're just giving people options. We are the waiter that's offering dessert. They want dessert, cool. If not, we don't care. It's going to be timing. We're just giving people options because we don't know what happened to them 5 minutes before we've talked to them. Give people options. What did I buy the other day? Oh, I had to buy a new microphone. We're starting a podcast. Actually, I've already started a podcast. But when I bought the microphone, it did all sorts of things. Would you like the express shipping? Yeah, sure. Would you like the warranty? I was like, no, this is all going to be indoor. I don't need the warranty. We're good. They gave me options. I said yes to one. I said no to the other. We're golden, right? They didn't call me back later. Like, you really need the $50 warranty. All the cool people are doing, the timing is right. No, they just gave me options. So we're always just giving people options. That's all it is. And if we have that with no intention, like, our intention isn't to sponsor people. Our intention isn't to sell something. Our intention is to give people options. And if we have that mindset, people will say, oh, okay, they're okay if I said no. Because in normal sales, it's a bad connotation because that's just how it is. A lot of times they're trying to push you in, like, oh, I don't want to go to that store because that sales, they're definitely on commission because they're going to push me into things. I've vetoed stores and I've banned stores that I will refuse to go into because I know they're too pushy. So I go to places, I'll pay way more because I know they're in it to give me options. Like when we bought the AC unit, the house was 30 years old. We need new AC. Again, they said, okay, here's the 3 options. We don't care which one you choose. We just want to let you know. So there was 3 options, which was great. There's your standard AC, the level 2, and then the level 3. So they gave me the option. They go, we don't care. I was like, I like you. In fact, I gave him a lot of business because he gave me options. He didn't try to push the highest commission level 3. About the level 2. We don't need a ridiculous cooling air system. All right, cool. Let's see. Okay. So also timing. Yes, we get this a lot ever since the whole COVID, March, lockdowns, whatever you want to call it, quarantine. A lot of times people say, I don't want to build because people are worried about their jobs. But then I look at other distributors and they're building like crazy, exploding. So what was the difference? It was just really their mindset. So in 2008 and also here in the early 90s here in Houston, a lot of times the economy went down. One time it was for NASA, one time it was national economy. Doesn't really matter. Let's just say the economy was down. So the real estate agents, some of them said, oh my goodness, no one's going to want to buy a new house. I'm not going to make a lot of money. Nobody wants to buy anything new. And then some real estate agents, what did they say? Oh my goodness, this is great. People are going to be moving. People are going to be downsizing, selling their house, either moving away or moving to a smaller place. This is great. People are moving. This is awesome. It was just their mindset. So a lot of times you see these, if you've been in the industry for long, people have all these, facts and figures that they've shown from like the early 90s, which are completely irrelevant today. They're like, oh, well, the economy is down, then sponsoring is going to be up, or if the economy's up, then we're going to have more retail. Either way, it's whatever we believe. So I always believe everybody's interested. It's just a matter of timing. Versus, I don't want to talk to them because they may be afraid about spending money, and then they may be thinking in themselves, I need to find something because I may be furloughed later. So we just don't know. We have to give people options. So if you want to type into the Q&A, hey, what limiting beliefs do we have? Of any, you may not have any limiting beliefs, which is great. Congratulations. For timing, do we have any sort of timing limiting belief that we're not talking to people because, oh, it's in lockdown, or people aren't spending enough money? Do we have any timing limiting beliefs? If so, feel free to, you don't have to type in the Q&A. You can definitely, yeah. You got to be crazy not to talk to people. People are looking. These are good. I love it when people type in the Q&A, especially when they're very interactive. All right. So here is another exercise, and it may sound negative. So let me do the positive spin. There's 300 million Americans here in America. 300 million people in America. There's hundreds of millions in different continents, as well as North America. We all get along. I don't really believe in competition because I believe everybody. I try to everything that I buy, I try to support the industry, our industry. So I don't really believe in competition, but this is a corporate exercise that we kind of learned a little bit the short brief time I went to college, and it's a different version, but we've kind of adapted it because it's been years since I was in college. But it's basically, find a way to put yourself out of business. And the example that they did was that if you had to open up an Italian restaurant in the same small town as another Italian restaurant, and you had to win because there's only so many people, what would you do to put them out of business? So you have to find a way to put yourself out of business. What does that mean? So if you're a restaurant, they said, okay, I need to put myself out of business, and I to be in another company. Okay, so I'd probably add curbside dining. I'd do online order because people love to order online and pick up, especially on lockdown. I'd beef up my customer service. I'd make sure and go a little bit above and beyond. Hey, maybe throw in a free appetizer. Make sure their drinks are full. I would go over the top. Especially with lockdown with real estate agents. They weren't allowed to do certain things. Depends upon where they live. So they were doing like YouTube videos. We had some people that did like VR tours where it was kind of like Google Maps where you can click into the different rooms and do like a 360 view. Like they were trying to put themselves out of business and be very, very proactive. So what could we do? What are the things that we should be doing anyways, but we're okay. But what if some competition was coming over to take over? What would we do? Well, we'd probably go a little bit above and beyond. So when we get a customer, hey, we'd thank it for the order. We'd call them up personally. Hey, thanks for being my customer. I really appreciate you. We'd make everybody feel appreciated. What else would we do? We'd make sure that, hey, after 10 days, let me know your results. I'd love to hear from you. Things like that will make a huge difference just by doing some customer service. So think about what kind of sponsor would you be? Like, if there's an imaginary competition and say, well, I'm going to be the sponsor that makes sure that they are successful. Hey, we are going to be partners as much as you want. I want to make sure that you get, 2, 3, 4 customers right away. I want to make sure that you're successful. That is how we're going to work it. So they're happy. So we have to think, how am I going to put myself out of business if I was my competition? And if we think that way, then we'll be proactive. But I really don't believe in competition. I believe our competition is ourselves. So what would you do? Type that in. Let's see here. Somebody will say, people don't join in December. What? I get that a lot. People are like, people are spending too much money on Christmas gifts and things like that. Most of your products and services can be Christmas gifts. Hey, we're going to give the gift of lower electricity. People aren't going to say like, no, I like to pay more. Hey, people are giving the gift of looking younger. So yes, I think there was one year that my December business was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just massive, and I don't know what it was. Maybe we just didn't think that through. But those are good stuff. All right, a couple more really quick. I'll give you some good examples. This was a case study done for a car salesman. The average, they say 10 to 20 cars, you're doing really good in the car business. So he goes, I'm going to amp it up. I'm going to give Tell everybody that buys a car from me, if they refer a friend, I'm going to give $50. Nothing happened. $100, nothing happened. $250, nothing happened. $500. He made around $1,000 per $750 to $1,000 per car. Oops, my phone is ringing. And so he goes, I'm going to give at least half, if not 2/3 of my referral fee back to the person referring me. I just got to sell more cars. Nothing happened. Why? Because the people that were trying to get customers, they were pushing. Look, you got to buy a car from this guy. Like, no, that sounds kind of awkward. So what he did was he changed the way he looked at things. He said, maybe instead of spending money, let's create an experience. So what he did, I'll give you a couple examples of what he did, and we got to do the parallel to our business. He instead of spending $500, he spent zero to, at the max, he would spend $50 per customer to make their experience amazing, where the experience was so much fun for his customers, they couldn't help but talk about it. So, the first one is pretty easy. On average, a massage costs $100. He talked to some massage therapists and said, we just want to get new customers in the door. Can you give me, if I send new people to your business, can you give me a massage tax, title, tip, everything for $50? I said, yes. He goes, great. So every single person that bought a car got a free massage gift card, redeemable here. Great. So not everybody redeemed it. Doesn't really matter. He was out $50, but he made $1,000. So what was that story like? Well, some people I haven't gotten a massage before, or they gave it to their spouse, or they gave it as a gift. It created this experience. They forget that they spent $40,000 on the car. Oh man, I got this free massage, right? So it's kind of trivial, but for sponsoring and for our customers, what can we? And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. That's the trivial part. Why spend big money when you don't have to? It could be zero. So if you're with a weight loss company, a lot of people do this. What do? Yes, they put them in a Facebook group, but a lot of times, it's just the simple facts of, hey, I saw this article, for some extra other weight loss tips. If you're selling skincare, I saw this other article about protecting your skin, especially in the harsh winter months. You're kind of giving more value. It doesn't even have to cost you anything. Now, and I'll talk this more on next week's class. I've done a lot of things. I bought some ridiculous gifts for some of my leaders, but just from starting off, you could do just some simple things that do not have to cost you a lot of money. So feel free to type in the Q&A. What are the things you can do to create a story? So people are like, oh my goodness, not only they're going to get their products in a box. It may look nice and maybe a cardboard box. It doesn't really matter. They have their products. That's not where the story starts. The story starts is how they took it. Like, hey, you know what? I found these other recipes that we did with the shake. And let me know what you think about the Thin Mint one. Or whatever your product is, you can probably give them more value than just what's in the box. Or even with electricity. I see this a lot. Yes, they're great. They've saved money on their electricity bill. Okay, great. They may share the story. But what if you gave them more information? Oh, hey, here's a great way to buy some LED light bulbs. Hey, you're saving $20 on your electricity. Anyways, you can buy these LED light bulbs for $5 a piece. You're going to save even more money. Oh my goodness! So it creates such a powerful story that people want to share. So feel free. Oh, thanks so much for typing those in. Go through this really quick because we're running out of time. I'll share more next week. The reality is, hey, 95%. It's really 99% of people that are in our business are just vacationers, or they're just part-timers. So many people, you go to the tourist spot and you go, oh man, I could live here. Nobody ever moves there. All right. I love the beach. I haven't moved to the beach. I really don't. I like it, but I don't like it that much that I don't want to be towards the convenience of living in a big city or access to a big city. So are you okay with, and type this into the Q&A, are you okay with hundreds or thousands of distributors in your business that are just part-timers? Honestly, I have less than 20 leaders in my organization, but I have tens of thousands of distributors. And if you're okay with that, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. Okay, we got a lot of yeses. I love rhetorical questions. I get you to participate. Big one, I'll just go through this really quick because it's just bonus information. Be okay with not everyone being a prospect. I'm allergic to shrimp. You can have the best shrimp scampi, fried shrimp basket, fresh and it's still moving when you put it in the fryer. It doesn't really matter. I'm not a prospect. We always have those people, they get a new car, like, oh, wow, nice new car. And they're like, oh, well, the insurance is expensive and I have to buy premium gas. Oh, hey, you won the lottery. Oh, well, you have to pay taxes. Like, some people are just never happy. We don't want prospects in our business. So be okay with not having some prospects. So I'm going to give you, and this will be in the recap email. So don't worry too much. These are just some sample formulas that people can use. People always ask me, how can I, get texts or emails? How can I kind of get people in our pipeline? It's really simple. A lot of times, people only talk to people when they need something, which is really, we shouldn't be doing that. I had a friend that lost her job. I go, how'd you find a new job? He goes, well, I texted everybody to see if they knew if their company was hiring. I said, wow, did everyone respond? And she goes, no, it's weird. Not everybody responded. Well, yeah, because you haven't been communicating with them on a regular basis. That's rude. So here's a sample script, just so you're fresh in people's minds. Hey, Julie, it's Keith. Haven't spoken to you ages. Hope all is well with you and your family. What's the latest with you? No rush to reply if you're busy, but I'd love to hear what you get and you get a chance. The big thing is no rush to reply. If you say, oh, you got to call me now, oh, they're going to know you're trying to sell something. Now, was this designed to elicit business? Absolutely not. Some people say, I've been meaning to call you. I see you posted something on Facebook, or it's just to keep you fresh in their mind. So you can honestly kind of do like a referral script with them later. But it's the best part is if you just kind of go to like the bottom, you scroll down through the bottom of your text messages, just text the people on the bottom. That's it. And it's super cool. And they would say, oh, nothing much. What's up with you? Oh, yeah, just checking in with people. Don't try to pitch them, but, just get it fresh in their minds. And then when and if you never need something or you want to get referrals for them, it's so much better than only texting them when you need something. All right, cool deal. All right, so a big one is I'll give you one more really fun script. I know I'm a little bit over time, so feel free to, if I'm talking too fast, you can, of course, do the replay. We'll have that up tomorrow morning. And I call this one the Ask for Customers. Sometimes we're so focused on sponsoring. I do this kind of more of a takeaway, and this is where you can talk to anybody at any time. It's really just kind of a quick thing. First of all, you compliment the person. Hey, Jay, I know we've been great friends for a while. I always appreciate everything you do for me. Look, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not trying to ask you to join a business or really trying to sell you anything. All I ask is you take a look. And I'm just asking you if you just check everything out, just possibly might be my customer just one time. No commitment. I'd appreciate it. I appreciate all your time. Thanks. Nothing pushy. So, just think about being my customer just one time. That's it. And it makes it so much easier to talk to people. And most of the time, people will say something else. Say like, well, tell me a little bit more, because you're not trying to push. It makes a big difference. Sometimes I want to focus on sponsoring, but sometimes we just focus on the customer. It's pretty simple. Hey, give them a simple compliment. I always appreciate your friendship. Not really want to try to push or, try to sponsor you or try to sell you anything, but if you just kind of take a look at one of my most popular products, if you just be my customer one time or at least think about it, I'd be grateful. People say, well, it sounds desperate. Not really. It's very, very easy to say that. Okay, so cool. Here are the homework questions, and this will be emailed out as well. Same email address. What daily questions can we ask ourselves? So, hey, how can I do this? How can I? The how questions. And what do we get to do for our business? We had a lot of good ones that people posted in the Q&A. I appreciate that. And of course, what can we do to create such a powerful story for our customers? So no, we don't have to get them a massage gift card. That's just an example. But what can we do if they get our product, if they get our services? What value can we add? It's probably the best value is normally free. It's sometimes just the knowledge of making sure that they're successful in what they've purchased. So yes, I am over time, but thank you so much, everybody, for the interaction. I love the sense of the humor on some of the interactions. I really appreciate that. And also, you'll get a recap email, just in case you can't write these things down right now. And for last week's homework, we appreciate everyone that sent some in. And we look forward to sharing with you next week. And responding to all the homework. Have a wonderful sponsoring week. We'll talk to everyone next week. Thanks again.